Hello, my name is Joshua Crocker.
And I'm Kevin Liston.
And this is Kicking for a Living,
a podcast about martial arts and business from two martial arts instructors. And I am really excited because this time we have a guest on. We have Debra Holmes here. We've actually worked with her. She trains at our school. She's trained several other places, but we're really excited. We've been talking about having a guest since conception of this podcast. And so that'd be really, really cool. But we're also going to be talking about some cool things. What are we going to be talking about today, Joshua?
Today we'll be building the perfect dojo. Before we get into that, though, Deb, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys?
I'm wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. It was a great day of teaching classes.
Absolutely, and working out.
So Deb, since you're with us, why don't you kind of tell everyone kind of your martial arts journey, just real quick, how long you've been doing it, where, rank, all that good stuff.
Okay, well, I have been a martial artist for over 30 years. And I started out in Arkansas at Living Defense Martial Arts. And I'm a 5th degree black belt under Danny Dring. And I moved over here about 10 years ago. Took me a few years, but I finally found integrity.
Because we're glad you did.
Yep, and I'm certainly glad I did. I like the philosophy that Master Dring always had, was that, you just integrate. You use BJJ, you use Muay Thai, you use boxing, you use wrist locks, anything and everything to put in your, arsenal of knowledge. So when I came here, I finally found you guys, and you used that magic word called integrated, and I went, oh my goodness, I must go and find out about this. So that's kind of how I got hooked up with you guys over the last few years.
Well, we're really happy you did, and I got to say, just from my perspective, it's really humbling because technically you're, of the three of us, the highest rank. But we've always said we can learn from each other, so you still learn from me, even though technically you're a higher rank. I still learn from you. We all still learn from Joshua, and so I think that's really important to be able to learn from one another, which is part of, this podcast, is we're here to give knowledge so everyone can learn from one another. We can all grow here. So I've been really excited to have you on.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, it's great working with you, Deb, as another instructor at this school. Do you even want to, I know you're in charge of one of the classes at our school. How's that been going?
The women's kickboxing program. It's going really, really well. This past 6 months, I have put, there've been just more than, 3, 4, 5 new members. And so I'm pretty excited about that. That program is growing. It's one of my passions. I absolutely love to teach women kickboxing and self-control. And it's not the regular, we do kickboxing with music. We have partners, we hit pads, we hit mitts, we do core work in between. And so they're encouraged to spar not only one another, but they're also encouraged to go into a spar class with all the other students, adult students, and spar there as well. My philosophy when it comes to that is you won't ever know how to handle the situation unless you kind of sort of practice that situation. And understanding how to move when somebody's trying to kick or punch you in the face is probably a really good thing to know.
Well, and I know when because we were talking a lot of what you've done with these ladies, we're going to implement into our core program because they come into sparring and they're just whooping up on all the other people, or at least holding their own from high ranks, just because that's all they've done. Day one, they've learned how to spar, they learned how to fight, and man, it is so important to give them a safe environment where they can train and feel comfortable. And so I appreciate that you do that.
Thank you.
Of course.
And excuse me, one thing watching your class, Miss Deb, is we have 2 mat spaces, and the mat space you get a lot during the week is the smaller mat side, just because the way our schedule works, which as you've been growing, you've been running out of room over there. So
a little bit. It's
really exciting that at the moment, as we're recording this episode, we are getting ready to move to a new building in our school in a couple months. Over twice as big as our current place. We'll have much more mat room, space for other things in our dojo. So I think it's appropriate as we're getting ready to move our business, our dojo, up the street to a bigger place. let's build our perfect dojo. I mean, if you got to start from scratch, build your dream dojo, all the things in it, all the things you want, and why, what would it look like?
Well, and I think this will also be interesting because I have to step out because we're instructors, and so we're going to say things that we want, but what are things that our students would want or parents would want that we wouldn't have? So I'm going to try to put myself in both mindsets as I do this to build a perfect dojo that accommodates all parties. And we'll see what we come up with. We'll see how much we agree or disagree wise and go from there.
So since we got 3 of us, I think we'll do it this way. We'll go around in a circle, giving our, first thing on our list, working it down until we've got, around 12, 15 things in our dojo. We'll see how far we get. So we'll start with you, Miss Deb. What is the number one thing, if you could build a dojo, you would want?
I want hanging heavy bags. And there's a specific reason. I like hanging heavy bags. You don't have to move anything. They're right there. They're very inviting. You put on a pair of gloves and you just walk up to it. But I also like it because when you kick it or hit it, a lot of times you'll get a little swing with that.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden now, my timing comes into play. When do I punch it? When do I kick it?
Right.
And that helps me in my sparring. When I'm sparring a real person, is their movement, their body coming, stepping back, moving forward, moving side to side. It helps me with that timing. And so that's why I love a heavy bag.
Well, and I've seen a lot of the Muay Thai bags now that are hanging, but they're intended to scrape the floor so they don't move as much. And so I was curious if you wanted that or the ones that swing. And it sounds like you want the ones that swing.
I would like the ones that swing, but low enough that you can practice calf strikes.
Yes. Yeah.
Or even ankle picks.
We got those new bags at our dojo that they don't hang, but they kind of sway a bit if you don't hit them too hard, and you can kick them low. I like using those bags for the same reason they move. The problem is they're super easy to knock down. So
It's good for kids.
Yeah,
Yes.
I will say that. They're
And
great
beginners.
for kids.
I could definitely
People
see the
beginning
hanging
form.
bag giving you some of the same benefits of those bags, but you don't have to worry about them falling over.
Right. And that's
Sure.
why I like them. And
Have hold strength.
yeah, the new bags, it gives a beginner a feeling of accomplishment to kick that bag over.
Yep.
I have to admit, being a smaller fighter or sparer, it gives me great feeling to kick that bag over.
What? You're what, like 3'2"?
About that size. Compared to some of you, yes, I'm about that size. So I certainly understand being a smaller fighter and being able to get a bag to actually kick over.
Interesting.
So that's that builds my, confidence in myself, and I get to go, yoo-hoo, I kicked a bag over. So I get pretty excited in class.
All right. Hanging bags. We'll go this way, so I'll go next here.
Perfect.
So I don't think this will come as a surprise to you two here with me, obviously the people listening. But mat space. A good size, solid mat space and mat. That I feel like, if bare minimum you have a mat space to train on, you're good. Now, have I seen schools that have trained like on carpet and on concrete? Yeah. But we can't integrate, as you've said, as much if we don't have something soft for people to land on for training, takedowns, and ground. And
Sure.
so my number one thing, I want a good size, solid mat space. You give me that, I'm happy. I can work around most other things.
I want to add on to yours a bit, just on the size of this mat space. I would also want a mat space that's big enough for a lot of events held. So if you had like a big belt ceremony where you expect most of your students at, that they could all fit in at your on that main mat space.
Yeah, I agree with that, because that's why I said a good size. Because you'll see a lot of gyms, they'll have a mat. It's a small mat, and so same problem that Deb might run into. Classes can fill up real fast.
Sure.
And if someone comes in and they're new and they see classes already crowded, you can't grow. You need a mat space that you can grow on, and that you can have everyone there, have that camaraderie, have that community. Everyone can be on this same big mat space. And keep it clean. I don't know if it's a requirement to have, as the building, but if good mat space and the cleaning supplies to keep it clean.
There you
Absolutely.
They are qualified.
So
we clean our
if
mats.
you've got a brand new mat space, make sure you got some mops as well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'll build off yours even more. My pick. That's going to be 2 decent sized mats. So they don't need to be as big as your main mat, but I want 2 full sized other mats so you can have multiple classes going on. Even like on mornings like today when we're finishing up our basics class and we're getting ready to start our intermediate and advanced level classes. You can have some of those students already ready to go on one side, on the mats. It's less crowded. They're all both in their places. Mm-hmm. It smooth things out, and you can have the instructor in charge of that class already going over there to start class as they're wrapping up, keep things smooth. So I would say at least 2 more full-size to decent-sized mat spaces.
Now, on that, I know it's not part of the building, but because you brought that up, does that mean that your ideal dojo, I know it's not the building, would have multiple head instructors to start?
So when building the perfect dojo, absolutely. But I also, if we're getting into the nitty gritty of the business side, you've got to realize you're not going to be building your perfect dojo day one. You got to build your business. So I think even if you're starting a business from square one, you should at least have 2 instructors. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, if not 3. Not to say, you can always start just yourself, and we know plenty of people who started just them.
Sure.
But having 2 helps a lot because having a night off is good every once in a while. Having days off.
People get sick.
People get sick, yeah. You want to be able to have that other instructor who can handle things. Even if you got a problem during class that you need someone else to handle, having 2 people is good. Even more is better. So I imagine as we're building this perfect dojo, we're looking at a place that has at least 5 or 6 instructors who can be running classes regularly.
Right. This would not be the starter dojo. This is the perfect dojo. You're established. You've got the clients. You've got the student base. And now we're building it to spec.
Right, and I also think you're going to have your high ranks, especially adults or teenagers, stepping up in leadership positions. That can certainly assist all your head instructors in a larger class.
I agree.
It's hard just being one instructor in front of 30 or 35 students, or 40 or 50 or whatever. So it's really nice to have at least one other person there who understands the basics of what you're doing that can assist you in that. And then you're also raising up somebody else to be able, if they choose to take that journey to be an instructor.
I think a good rule of thumb, and this is going to vary depending on dojo, but you should have at least twice as many leadership/assistant students as you do instructors. Is that
2 to 4, 3 to 6?
Yeah.
Minimum.
That'll reflect your... However many instructors you have should reflect your student count. The more instructors you can have on staff, the more students you likely have. And the more students and instructors you have, the more assistants you need. And if you don't have many assistants, it shows me that you don't care about building up the next level of leadership. And even besides just the fact it helps you when teaching class to have leaders, it's important that you're taking your time to grow your students and put in the investment in them to build them as leaders as well. Mm-hmm. So I think for every instructor you have, you should have about, I'd say, 2 leadership/assistant level people as well.
So you've got all your instructors, you've got all the students. We've gone through our first round. So Deb,
back to you.
Back to you. We've got our hanging bags in your perfect dojo. What's the next thing you want?
I want pads on the wall. And here's the reason. There's 2 reasons, actually. It helps you not have to replace sheetrock, number 1.
Okay, so you mean like a wall pads.
Yeah, they're on the wall. They're padded. Also, it makes it safer and a lot more comfortable if you're doing self-defense against the wall. Or if you're sparring, if I want to, quote, herd you and get you up against the wall and practice how do I get off that wall in a defensive way.
This is great. You were giving me a lot of things that just for me, because of our different experience, I love, and I've been to schools that have, but are far lower on my list, whereas they're at the top of your list. And now, of course, I'm thinking when we get our new facility, like, down the road, I can put bags on this wall because I can put bags in the small mat space.
Sure.
The other mat space. There's a space for those, so I like it.
Well, thank you. And I think part of it simply is because as a woman, where am I going to feel the most trapped? Up against the wall.
Pinned against the wall.
And being a very small woman, I'm going to feel really, really intimidated by somebody who's 6'4" and weighs 225.
Right, because you're 3'2", as we determined.
That's right. And trust me, I feel that way when I'm up against the wall because it's a very precarious position to be. And
clarify, she's not only 3'2". Just wanted to throw that out.
We're like 4 foot 2.
4 foot 2.
That's kidding.
A little closer.
We're slowly getting up there.
And in most cases, for a woman in a self-defense situation, it most likely is a choke.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I have my women practice that against the wall a lot. And so I think it would be more comfortable. We can't go really super hard because I don't want to be replacing sheetrock.
We have a few dents.
And that always happens, especially if somebody's doing judo, if somebody's doing wrist locks and throws, you get too close to the wall, somebody just puts their foot through it.
Right.
Happens all the time.
It definitely make me feel better as the attacker, the bigger guy pushing you up against the wall. Because you're scary. I mean, you're going to take my head and slam me into the wall.
Well, and then there's that. At least it'll be padded.
Your instructor and attacker will also, you don't have to go as soft with them because you don't have to be as concerned about their safety, which lets you get better training in return as well.
It's a safety piece, but it's also going to save my sheetrock.
Cool. Awesome. So another one of mine, and this one is, now we're getting a little bit outside of the training, and I've always said this, is showers. Oh man. I didn't think...
That would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Like, in my ideal dojo, this is my ideal dojo, I would love to have showers. And it's not always for the students. I don't expect the students to always, be able to take a shower. But at the end of a night, when I've been teaching for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, I mean, I want to go home and crash. So if I can do a quick shower there, come home and relax, or if I need to, I can do a quick shower because, especially arts like jiu-jitsu, wrestling, when you start rolling around, you get sweaty and gross. So if you go work with another student in another class and your shirt or your rash guard or your gi is sweaty and gross, you can change that, but you're still sweaty. It would just be nice to have a shower. Good private shower with hot water. Hot water tank should work. To rinse off and clean off. Also, students, a lot of students are mechanics or engineers. They work and, their job, or they're outside, they're mowing lawns. They could come to the dojo. They could clean off before classes. That way they're not coming in sweaty or they don't feel embarrassed. They still have the right to train, even though their job is, kind of manual intensive. So I think showers would be really nice to have.
And especially after when somebody says, hey, let's go grab a bite to eat. And I'm always in the back of my mind going, I hope the restaurant waiter doesn't get too close. It's like, ooh,
finished
class.
Finished day classes want to go out for lunch.
We've been there all day. We've been doing 3 or 4 or 5 classes, and now let's go out to lunch. It's like, okay.
Let me rinse off a little bit. Yeah. Yes, that for those reasons like that.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
I'm going to cheat a little bit and combo my next one because they're related. I think you need a seating area for parents to watch class, especially on your main mats. If you can get it on those other 2 I brought up last time, great. But especially for the main mat. Then in addition, I want a connected or separate room from your seating area. That's like a study room where you got a couple tables at for those kids who are there longer in the day, maybe have some time between classes to work on stuff, or even for younger brothers and sisters of kids in class where they can go, if they need something else to do because they've got a lot of energy, they can go somewhere else and we can have, puzzles, games, books for them in there, or they can bring their own activities, so they're not causing a ruckus in the seating area for the parents watching class.
I like that. So essentially, it's more than just parent seating. I think that fairly standard. You want a place for parents to seat, but it's more of a designated area for parents, a designated area for students or siblings. Especially, and I think that you bring this up as a good point today. I think Deb and I, we were talking about this earlier. The society is very different today than martial arts schools 20, 30 years ago. You know, they're getting picked up from school and coming straight to classes, but they need time to do their homework and things like that. But this works better. So, yes, I like that. I like that answer. I like that for a
And I always want to encourage students to take the time to, invest in either their schoolwork or their training outside of just when they're at school or on the mats. So this could be, I feel like there's a lot of uses in a study room area besides just homework. This is a place students can go to, make notes from classes, or it's a place where as instructors we can go to have meetings before or after classes.
Stretch out before class?
Stretch out. Anything. It's a very, it's a study room. It's kind of your versatile room as well, your multi-purpose room.
And sometimes it's not, we can assume that we may have a couple of students who are older, who are still maybe in junior high or high school, and they're really good at a particular subject. If one of the kids comes in and goes, hey, I need help with biology, well, there might be somebody there who could also help with that. Could walk in if we have a designated place and say, oh, you have a question about that? Let me sit down and help you. It's one of those trying to build a community, and then if there's a need from that community, that we somehow are able to address that. Now, not all of them we're not going to be able to address, of course. But I think in my perfect world, it would be great if the older kids help the little kids with some of their homework.
I mean, I'm usually busy working, teaching classes, but I'd absolutely, if a kid brought me homework and wanted to work on it together, sit down a few minutes with them, look it over. Just having that different person, especially, different than parents to work with. Sometimes you don't want to work on homework with parents. You live with them, you see them all the time, and you love them, but you want that other teacher role to help you out.
Sure.
And I think as those younger students look up to us as their teachers, and that would definitely be a benefit from them to have someone else to help them if they could.
Well, and having that space plays off what you said earlier, Joshua, where, if you have 3 instructors and 6 assistants, it's those 6 assistants that are really going to be able to sit down with the kids or sit down with that person to help them out. We have, Dan Stripling, John White, all, at the top of my head, all former high school teachers. And then even, Bridget did I've done substitute teaching at elementary school level as well as so there's a lot of education opportunity there. And so having a room designated for them to be able to do that, among other things, is a really, really great idea.
Makes it easier to accommodate the need.
Yep. So. Awesome. All right. Round 3.
Back to you, Deb.
I would love to have, it's what I call a headache bag or a headache ball. It's got a bungee cord from the top to the top of the ball or the punching, and then from the bottom to the floor. And when you hit it comes, you either keep your hands up or you move your head or you get smacked in the face. That's one of the training things that Master Dring had in his, and he has a very small school, by the way. But you learned if you punch, you learn to dodge that, or you just, as I said, get smacked in the face. You either block it or you move your head. And so head movement, and Kevin and I were talking about this earlier, head movement for almost 95%, I'm guessing here. But a large percentage of martial artists is difficult to get down and do well.
Oh, yeah. Any kind of thing you can have to help someone move their head.
Sure.
I like it.
Me included.
And so, I'm seeing a theme here, Deb. A lot of yours are designed around almost a boxing or Muay Thai gym. They may not have padded walls. Most of them probably do nowadays. but a lot of it's designed around maximizing their training for fighting and self-defense.
Sure.
Which is great. That's definitely your background.
Yeah, and that's the one thing as I've gotten older, and you guys are still young, both of you, but you will learn that as you go through the years and the decades, that you have to reinvent yourself. Mm-hmm. And that you have to look at what you're doing and how it plays into your everyday life.
I'm in that phase.
Yeah, and at my age, at 67, I certainly can't run like I did in high school. I can't sprint a 440. And so what I need to do is, how do I get out of a situation very quickly, very cleanly, very effectively, so that I can get myself someplace safe?
I agree. It just dawned on me that this is the first time you've introduced your age. Which I want to throw out that I am in awe at your age that you are doing this and seeing how well you move and take hits and give hits, like at inspiration.
Well, thank you. But I've told you every time we've talked about it, and Joshua as well, the only reason I can do this is that I've kept doing it and I haven't stopped.
Didn't stop.
I didn't just decide, oh, I'm a black belt, and I quit. I realized and understood that it was a lifelong journey and a lifelong path, and which changes as you go along, as it should.
I love it. So, on my next one, I'm up next, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a couple here. I'm going to go with this one first. I'm actually going to steal this one from my wife, Bridget. And that is, I wouldn't say this would be my perfect dojo, but I definitely understand the need for it, and I feel like it needs said. Adequate parking. That it was one of those I overlooked for a long time. And I was like, people will figure it out. But man, when you watch kids and adults leaving your school, leaving the dojo, especially if you're in a shopping center, lots of schools are now, kids running across parking lots and things like that, you need adequate space, you need good visibility, plenty of parking, that way you don't have cars blocking other cars, cars having trouble getting by, you don't have the drop-off, parents come, drop their kid off and leave. So having adequate parking as part of the building makes those things easier. You can have a lot easier transitions between classes. It's less chaotic, safer for the kids. Just the other day I was doing a private lesson and the guy I was working with literally just looked up and said, "Oh no!" And I had no idea what was happening. So I dart, and 2 cars in our parking lot, one was backing out, one was speeding through a drive-through out of it, and they inches from colliding right in front of our doors. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think they were our students, but just having adequate parking is safety, in my opinion, for people in general.
You reminded me of another thing on my wish list if you're done, that I think is relating to the parking lot. Is like a outside grassy area. So I want, or not even, grassy area, but some sort of field, picnic area, mini park, whatever you want to call it. But I want some sort of outside area that you could have maybe a couple benches at, that for events, you could have people eating at, or you could have a training area outside when it's nicer out. That's definitely not been the case lately. It's been so hot out the last few weeks. But as we get closer to fall weather, there's going to be some really nice days. And I don't know how you would utilize that in your, day-to-day classes, but just being able to go outside and practice every once in a while would be great. So even if that area was fenced off, if you could let some of the older kids just go out there and practice before class, and not have to worry about anything, something along those lines. And with that, appropriate amount of, flora, trees, just all around, including in your parking lot. My favorite parking lots are the ones that have, trees in them, because it offers shade for your cars when it is so hot out, and it just makes it look nicer. So with your adequate parking and parking lot, I would sprinkle in some trees out there as well. And just nice outside
I love
amenities.
And so I'm noticing this theme here. And of course, I would also like to say that I too would love to have hanging bags and mats on the wall and an outdoor area, and it's like we're trying not to overlap. I think we all agree that these are all great things, but it's interesting to see, Deb. Like I said, you are focused on how can I train better. I'm focused on how can I make a safe and good experience. And then Joshua is focused on how can we get the community and everyone involved and adequate places for everyone. And this is what builds a perfect dojo. And so I like how we're each having kind of different themes, but we're also, thinking of different things here.
No,
Sure.
I've got all these listed together, and it seems
them.
like a great place to train at. And I still got some more ideas. Before we go into round 4, I'll read them off for you, Deb. We've got hanging heavy bags, good main mat space, and then 2 extra mat spaces, pads on the wall, showers, seating area / study area. Was it a headache bag? Is what you call it?
I call it a headache bag.
Headache bag, adequate parking, and then outside amenities. So, what do you want to add on for number 10?
This is being a little selfish, but it's okay because I think sometimes as instructors we do need to take a break. We need to step away from the mat. And so I would love to have kind of sort of a kitchen. Not that I'm a gourmet cook by any means. I've spent too many years and time in the dojo to be any kind of good cook. But something that has a nice refrigerator, there's a kitchen table, there is a microwave or a toaster or something. We don't have a full-blown stove. But somewhere that you can grab a quick snack. If I'm running late, I can bring my lunch, and I can, nobody else has to smell my lunch. I can go in there, if you're eating, bunches of onions or garlic. But I also kind of just a space that's just for the staff, that we can step away from the mat just for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. Get a cold drink, whatever, and then come back on the mat. Because it's 3 or 4 classes back to back. It's harder. We make it look easy, I think, guys. But it's really, really hard to do that and to keep your enthusiasm up at a high level from one class to the other.
Yep.
It is. Because we can't ever let our enthusiasm dip low, right? We're on agreement of that. We have to keep it up here. Well, that takes a lot of energy, and just sometimes one of us might just need a mental break to go there for 5 minutes, get a cold drink.
Or just a drink in general.
A drink or cold, whatever.
I haven't had any water in 3 hours.
It is easy to forget to stay hydrated when you're teaching.
Sure.
I've noticed that over the summer I'll drink plenty during the day, but once you get into teaching mode, I forget to drink water.
Yeah, and we preach it to our students. Well, we preach it to our students because it's very, very important to do. Well, it's also very, very important for all of us to do. And sometimes when you get in that teaching mode, we just don't. And so having a spot where we can go and just leave for 3 minutes, go get a drink,
Right.
And come back. And I think that is beneficial. If I had a perfect dojo, I would have that for my staff.
And I think you probably stole one of Joshua's right there because he's mentioned a kitchen.
Yeah, you stole my next one, so I definitely agree with you. I think this is a great pick because there's so many times when I want to bring something and warm it up at the school before classes, or be able to put something in the fridge and warm it up later. And this week that's been very clear. I was going up to get some extra work done this week, and there was times where I had no clue what I was going to eat for lunch unless I wanted to go out somewhere, or I had to bring up peanut butter and jelly sandwich with me that morning. So, but having just be able to bring some leftovers with me during the day, warm them up, because we don't have a microwave right now. Mm-mm. Or even Saturday morning, you mentioned a toaster, and it made me think just making breakfast at the dojo on those early mornings, because Saturday morning breakfast is one of the trickiest meals to get in during the week. Mm-hmm. Because I wake up, I've got to get my stuff ready to go, and either I sit down and eat breakfast before leaving, and then I'm there late, or I bring my breakfast with me, and then I'm trying to rush to finish my breakfast as getting ready for the day. So having that place where, when we work such weird hours, such the time, be able to, still have good meals during the week would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, and that would be good because I always have a joke that I joke around with some of the kids that I'm going to hit them with the toaster. So if we had an actual toaster, I could, be like, you're not going to do that. That one right there. And then I'll go unplug it. I didn't. Yeah. I would never. It's just a joke.
Do we need to get him a toy toaster for Christmas?
Ooh, like a plush toaster.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. Because then I could actually catch a guard up.
I'm going to have to look into this.
I know. I think.
Mr. Liston, hit me with a toaster.
It's a new saying. There's a T-shirt in there somewhere.
So I'm going to go... this isn't structural, but I think that much like the bags that you talked about, it's a given. You've got to have some bags, targets, pads. Essentially... good, solid training equipment. And I'm not talking student equipment, like it's their job to get their sparring gear and that, but we need to have the appropriate hand mitts, the appropriate heavy bags or light bags, appropriate air shields, so big kicking pads, that are very versatile. Whereas, Deb's training bags were very specific for the type of training you want. My Perfect Dojo has very versatile equipment, which we have right now. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's a necessity. I don't know. I could only get so far in good training. Those extra bags and things just helps manage classes, helps give the students the ability to really hit something and kick something hard without hurting themselves or others. And so, good, solid training. Versatile training equipment.
I think that's a very solid one, and adding the versatile in there, like different things, because it keeps it fresh in class, and it makes sure you have the right equipment for every drill.
Right, and I would throw, and I didn't mention this, but like crash pads in there as well. That way you could roll out crash pads for throws
Absolutely.
and things like that. Mm-hmm. But again, just good solid equipment. Because it depends on the school. Obviously, a jiu-jitsu, wrestling, judo school, they're probably going to want some crash pads. But they don't need mitts. They don't do a lot of striking. Yeah, they might have some that might be good every now and then. But since we're integrated and we need a lot of equipment. And so having that available, that way I can always say, all right, we're working on this. Boom, this is the equipment that I need. Assistants, go grab it. Let's get our lines. Let's work with our students. And it's easy. It's accessible. It's right there.
One thing so moving to mine,
Yep.
that I really hope we can add in on our second mat space at our new building is a training area that's not on the mats. And what I picture as this is like a table with chairs that students can sit their notebooks on before class, encourage students to take notes from class, set up a TV over there. So whenever I'm working with a class like my competition group where we go back and watch videos and film from previous competitions and practices, we can sit down, watch on the TV together. So to give students ways to learn and study besides just standing on the mats. Because we've always just done all our training on the mats. But maybe having this small, you wouldn't need much more like training area that is for that extra ways of training. Not unlike what I said earlier at the study area, but I picture this more like right next to the mats. You still want this near your mats, so we can like watch something and then immediately jump up and go practice training on the mats again. And then step off, finish what we're doing, take notes. So this would be really good. It'd be great for, squad classes. This morning in squad class, we were, all the students had their notebooks out and they were taking notes as we go. And it was great because it let them watch what we were training, take notes in their book kind of at the same time. So I pictured that. More training opportunities besides just moving around.
So maybe like a TV that hangs that we could, review video on that they can easily see from this space or from a mat space.
Yes, so a training corner with TV and table.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And that would, just because I don't want to, I feel like I have to throw this out there as a given. We're going to have a space for students to put their gear, to put their shoes, to put their equipment, locker room-esque kind of area, and things like that. So I feel like maybe something next to that, or it's different than that is essentially what I'm getting at. Like, that's a given. I think every dojo should have that, by the way.
I think there's some given things we still haven't got to. So I say one more round with our, special things we want, and then kind of finish up with anything we've maybe missed that is just kind of a given.
The lightning round.
Yeah.
The lightning bolt that Deb's going to have shaved in her head here in the week.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so one more round with your craziest want. Deb, you start us off.
Out in the lobby, I think that it would be cool to have at least one big TV with a split screen that's showing those two mats and what we're doing, the current class that's on it. Because I think when new people walk in and there it is, what do you do? Well, here's two classes up here, on the TV. These are two that are happening right now. And I think that is a good selling point. I think it's entertainment. I think they go, oh, yeah, and I think it sets the note for we're technically pretty up there. I mean, we have Joshua, and so who does a lot of technical stuff. It wouldn't be me, gang, but it's Joshua, and he has the chore sometimes of trying to teach me, but that we are tech savvy, and that this is the modern world that we live in, and I think we need to let our community know that we're there. We're already pretty tech savvy.
iPad for them to sign in for classes, a TV for them to be able to watch, and things.
Yeah,
yep.
All those sorts of things that make it just easier to get back on that mat.
I like it. See, I'm glad we went. These are things that are like, oh yeah, but maybe we don't always get to. Let's see, my kind of craziest one. If I had an ideal dojo, what I would really, really like. Let me get my train of thought back because I had it, and that is, and then it went away. So I would like to have appropriate office space. That's something that I think gets overlooked, because I remember when we first opened our original dojo, we had the mat, we had a desk. It was all one big open area. There was no office. I don't know if you've ever tried to sit in on a meeting to talk to someone about a program when there's yelling and screaming and all this noise in the background. It's hard. Having a dedicated office. Hey, come with me into my office. Comfy chairs, for a very inviting environment. A window so they can still look out at their kid in class if it's a parent signing up. But a good, nice, comfortable, inviting office space. I hate offices and I hate desks because of kind of the way it feels. So even if it was just like the office was on the side of a wall and it felt less, formal, but it does need to be there. That way you can sit in and have a conversation with someone. This might not even be a parent signing up or themselves signing up. This might just be, hey, I need to sit in and have a chat with this student in a comfortable environment without all the distractions, without all the noise. So that would be really, really nice.
And you say appropriate office space, which I think is great, because also having maybe a couple different offices for, different instructors and staff members. Ideally, depending on the size of your dojo, everyone could have an office, if we're talking about our wildest dream here. But even like a room where there could be one office where we record our podcast out of. Because, we currently, this episode, we're just at your house right now, Kevin, recording. But if we could have an area when we have guests like Miss Deb on to record at our dojo and have that more kind of central location, would be great.
So, because this just popped in here, so maybe even a secondary or I guess tertiary mat space, mats on the wall, doubles as a studio.
Sure.
For recording video.
Oh, okay, I love this one.
Podcasts.
I had a similar idea for my last pick, but I'm going to change it to that. Have either the right amount of equipment or the right setup area that you can, record podcasts, you can record videos, whether it's, an instructional video or even a funnier skit-like video. all these different media projects I'm working on have maybe, like you say, one mat space that can double as that, or a small separate area that can be kind of the studio room.
Right. Well, having those mats on the wall gives good acoustics and things like that, and then kind of what you were going with to show that we're modern, videos of our curriculum and techniques for the students to watch and study. It would be nice to have a room like that where we can record it, and without, the lighting's terrible right now because of the time of day, so I can't, film it here, film it there. No, studio
Absolutely.
room.
And as we get into some of our general stuff, I think almost necessary with that is towards the front of your dojo near Deb's big TV is a media corner or a media wall where you can have another TV like playing a recent video we uploaded on YouTube, to have all our flyers for events up, to have a couple bookshelves. Like, I would love a library with martial arts books and otherwise books for, students who are there to read, building more off of that community things I've been adding in a lot. And it helps with that studio area we have, because now the content we make, we have a place where people can see it, and all of that. So a designated area for all sorts of media, flyers, a bulletin board, all of it.
Yeah,
and
yep.
We got like a little area at our current place, but I've quickly realized like even more area would be great for that, because there's a lot of things to for us to show off there.
A media area.
Media
area.
Where you can charge your...
Another one we've talked a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Chargers. Chargers somewhere for
go.
computer, phones, iPad, whatever.
I think that could even go back into like a multi-purpose study area as well.
Sure, yeah.
For the instructors, an office or kitchen.
Sure.
But no, another one we keep talking about for our new place is also a retail shop, kind of in the same vein of being up there front for people to see what you have going on.
Right, I was going to bring that up that way.
Go ahead if you want to talk about it more.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, it would, so people can see, like, all right, here's our uniforms that we have, T-shirts, sparring gear, weapons if your school does weapons, if they want to buy any home training bags and things like that. A lot of schools call it a pro shop, but really it's just a place to display the things that you can purchase to help your martial arts out and to help you practice at home and things like that, which I think is also a lot of martial arts schools know about it, but I think a lot of people, when they sign up, it's not something they readily think about outside of a uniform. They think, well, I got to have a uniform, but there's a lot of other things that can go into, not just that you need sparring gear, athletic guards, mouthpiece, but things you can get for home. You can get a bag at home. You can get training gear at home. You could,
you can get a shield for home.
A shield.
Hand mitts for home.
Instructional videos, books. Like you said, for a library, some to read there, some to buy. Even
like having a space for all of our testing prep sheets to just be sitting and students can take.
Yeah.
Having those print ahead of time would make a lot easier for us. And having a place where we can direct students to pick them up or even just grab them ourselves and hand to them.
Cool. And I think we've kind of, last few minutes, entered a lightning round of any just other things we forgot here.
I think we have to be really conscientious for a new building to have the gallery or where the parents and the guests sit, so they can have unobstructed view of their child.
I did get a seating area earlier, so we've covered this one.
Yeah, sort of, but also to make sure that it's comfortable. We have comfortable chairs. We don't have
chairs. Yeah.
There we go.
Comfortable chairs. Sometimes our chair, some chairs can be comfortable and some not so.
Yeah, our current chairs. I had to sit in them
and
last
make
week.
sure there's not obstacles between them and filming their child or taking a picture of their child.
So that open area between.
Right.
That they can get up, easily move without being disruptive to the class.
Right.
They can, if they need to take care of a younger sister or brother, or they need to go to the restroom, that they can get up and move freely without causing distraction.
And this is probably in design, but adequate and easy access to restrooms.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yes.
and things like that. So parents can get to a restroom without having to step on the mat. kids can get to it easily, stepping off the mat without disrupting anything.
And on restrooms, I gotta interject, good restrooms. I'm tired of all these public places with these flimsy doors and bad locks and like a foot under it that you can see people's feet. Like, let's get actual bathrooms that are, private. Because at our current place, we have 3 bathrooms and they're just single stall. So there's just a toilet and sink in each one. So even if we had multi-stall bathrooms, make them bathrooms that have full rooms and not these flimsy doors that you see and, urinals on the wall, like real bathrooms.
And it would be also nice if you have multiple stalls to have some that are designated for kids and some for adults. That way, kids who are not quite tall enough don't make a mess of them.
Yes.
That would be helpful, yes. I think it also would be nice and to have one that is big enough for disabled, for assistant.
Yeah, and I think you're required by law to have that now. You should anyway.
Again, by law, this next one will also be required, but I'd say at least 3 points of entry and exit, and you're going to want most of those locked. But I always feel more comfortable in a room or a building with a back exit too. Fire hazard, it's required by law, but also just safety. And since we're in the business of self-defense, if there's ever a problem near the front door, you want to be able to get the kids out the back door safely.
Correct.
So at least 3 points of entry,
easy access to all of it.
Anything else? Let's see. Just real quick here.
For us, I prefer having higher ceilings. For those schools that have ever trained with a bow staff, clonk.
And with that, air conditioning.
Okay.
Without air conditioning right now, we would be miserable.
I get it. Some schools will be like, no AC, you train and you sweat.
Yeah, open up the door.
Well, you get one good class in, and then you're done, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
signage outside the building for people on the street to see.
Yep, people got to know where you're at. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Doesn't do a dojo any good if people can't find you. Yep, appropriate signing, air conditioning, again, being a modern place, multiple points of entry, exits.
Water fountain.
Water fountain. Again, that's something we've been talking about. That's another thing that's required to have is a water fountain. School should have that.
Depending on the size, you may want 2.
Yep. That are nice and clean, good chairs, probably like a reception place for when people come in. It doesn't have to be like an office, but just a nice area to greet people. That way, they're just not immediately walking in and stepping on a mat. But some kind of greeting area to talk to new people and interested like that.
Oh, I heard one of our other instructors mention a projector. I'll go ahead and add that on here.
Sure.
I think we've listed a lot of TVs throughout this. We're very into TVs at the moment.
Yeah, apparently so.
Projector, TV to have another projector TV.
Yeah. One thing, and I had not ever thought about it, but the last time I was at my particular gym doing some strength training was a debilitator on the wall.
Oh, proper first aid, yeah.
Proper first aid, and I'd never even thought about it.
Yeah. I mean,
at all.
Yeah. Now, again, that equipment-wise, it's something that we have. I know we have a little first aid kit and things like that.
Sure.
But yeah, a defibrillator
Yeah,
and
but
things
that was
like that.
on the wall, front and center.
Nah, that's smart.
All right.
That's really good.
So, I'm going to put these in the description of this podcast episode, but I'll review everything we've said today. Hanging heavy bags, mat space, 2 extra mat spaces, pads on the wall, showers, a seating area / study room, headache bag, adequate parking, outside amenities, kitchen, bags, targets, pads, mitts, just all your equipment, a training corner with TV and table, a big TV at the front of classes, appropriate office space, a studio room, then a media area, retail pro shop, lockers and shelves, comfortable chairs, restrooms, 3 points of entry, high ceilings, AC, signage, water fountain, reception desk, projector, and proper first aid. We're greedy. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
well, that's the dream dojo.
This is
dream
ideal.
dojo.
It's our dream dojo.
We forgot to add ourselves in there. I think we would really add to the aesthetic of it if you had us, or at least clones of us,
I don't know. I got a survey response once. We were asking students how we could improve the look of our dojo, and they just said, remove Joshua. So I gave that kid the appropriate amount of beatings for that. Just don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And he's one of our black belts now.
It was a joke. I mean, he did. That did actually happen, but it happened as a joke.
And if I was going to be really luxurious, I'd say, ooh, a hot tub and an ice bath.
A guest bedroom.
A guest bedroom, yeah, you
Annex. Right.
But no, I think this is all
know. A
great.
swim pool.
And we're going to get, I think, a lot of this at our new facility, which is just really exciting as we're moving.
Yeah.
There's a few of the more out there items that may not happen, at least right away.
Yeah.
But, super excited for a new place. And, the dojo is such an important part of martial arts. It's where we train. It's our home. It's the home of our community. So you want to put a lot of care into it. And when you walk in to see a dojo, you can tell whether the instructors, the team, the people there care about their dojo or not. So if you're out there and you're, a student at a dojo, help out wherever you can to take care of it. It's as simple as just don't throw your shoes wherever when you walk in. Put them where they belong. And to, if you're running a business or you're an instructor, take the appropriate amount of time to keep it clean, to keep it orderly. It's not as hard as it seems. Unless it seems really easy, then you're probably about right. But yeah, I've really enjoyed talking about this. Just a really fun episode, and of course it was great having you on, Deb, so thanks for being here today.
I appreciate the time and effort you guys put into all this thinking and doing, so I'm just glad to be a part of it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any closing thoughts, Kevin?
The only closing thoughts I had were remember cleaning supplies and my toaster plushie.
Oh yes, cleaning supplies and
make
toaster
sure
plushie.
those get added in
We'll
the
have
comments.
to work on that.
But no, I think you summed it up. Thank you so much, Miss Deb. I'm really excited for this podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoy listening to it. If you guys have any feedback or questions, always post them in the comments. Let us know. We're open books. We're always open to answer anything you got.
We'd love to hear from you all. We're planning on one more episode in season 1, and then we'll be back swinging for season 2 soon. We're already talking about ideas for, more episodes, so let us know if there's any episode you want to hear us cover, a topic you want to hear about. Let us know. Leave a comment. We love to hear back from you all.
And if any of you want to know why I still do what I do at my age, or any other questions you might have about the women's kickboxing program at Integrity, by all means, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Yeah.
Keep kicking.
For a living.